we will try to understand what is this hypertext transfer protocol. So we are giving here text. I gave Sadish capital info. What was this? A text. We have a file in which a text data is available. Now I have some document in which we have some text. I give name, Satish, location, Hyderabad, state. This is how I got the text. This is a text. When it's a hypertext, when you click on the text, I got you. I got Satish Mela. What was this? It's a link. When I click on this link, what happened? One document will open. When I click on this link, a document is opening. When I click on this link, another document is opening. What was this part? Hypertext. Now when you say hypertext, when you click on this, the corresponding document will open. It will open a new document. So what was this? A text, and this is a hypertext. So when you say hypertext transfer protocol, hypertext. When you click on the hypertext, it opens the corresponding page. So when you search in the Google, everything you are getting as what? Hypertext. When you search in the Google, when you say Salesforce, you are getting a lot of links. All these are what? Hypertext. When you click on this, corresponding pages are opening. So all these are what? Hypertext. Hypertext. Hypertext transfer protocol. So what is a protocol? Protocol is a set of rules which both the systems are agreeing to obey to exchange the data. When we say protocol, these are the set of rules which both the parties are agreeing to transfer the data across the network. Now, what type of protocol is this? HTTP. What type of protocol is this? HTTP, and we have HTTPS, SMTP, then FTP, Telnet, TCP/IP. Like this, there are number of protocols are there. One of the protocol is hypertext transfer protocol. So hypertext transfer protocol. Now, it is a request and response format. You send a request, I will receive it. You send a request, I will send you a response. Request and response format. Client will send a request to the server will send a response to the client. Now, the server can be a web server or it can be an application server. It can be a web server or it can be an application server. Now, when you are going for the client, who is the client in our context? Our client is nothing but a browser. In our context, our client is going to be a browser from where we are going to request the data or resource. So, who is our client? Browser. From where are you calling the Visual Force page? From the browser. From where are you running the Visual Force page? From the browser. If you are requesting any service, from where are you calling the service? From the browser. So, who is a client in our context? Browser is a client in our context. So, when you send a request, corresponding response will come. Now, when you are going for the HTTP, we need to understand some basic information. What is it? What is a URL? What is a URI? What is a URL? We have URI, URL, URL. There are three different terms what we are going to use. What is a URL? What is a URI? What is a URL? So when you go for this, first we are going with a URL. URL stands for what? Uniform Resource Locator. Uniform Resource Locator. Similarly, we have one more. What is the second one? URL. Uniform Resource Name. Another one is URI. URI is what? Uniform Resource Identifier. So, if you want to request any data or if you want to request any resource, if you want to request any data or if you want to request any resource, you are supposed to go with, look at the phone. This URI. In the URI, we have a URI. In the URI, we have two things here. What are the two things that we have? URL and URL. URI. URI can be what? URL or URL. So what is this URL? What is that URL? Let us say you want to find out a person called Satish. Now what is this name of the person to whom you want to talk? Now I give he is available in Capital Info Solution. I will repeat. Now what was this? Second one is an address. First one is a name. Second one is an address. First one is a name. So first one is what? Name of the resource. Second one is what? Address of the resource. So the name of the resource we are calling as URN. Uniform Resource Name. The second one what we have is address. So what is that called? Uniform Resource Locator. Uniform Resource Locator. Address of the resource or the name of the resource. I can give either address or I can give either name. We can communicate using address or a name. If you go with an address, URL. If you go with a name, URN. So URI can be a URL or it can be a URL. URI can be a URL or it can be a URL. I repeat, URL can be URL. URL is a child of URI. URN is a child of URI. Every URL is URI. Every URI is not URL. So what is the difference? URL stands for named resource, the name of the uniform. Okay, resource name. That is URL is resource locator. URL is uniform resource identifier. So the identifier can be based on the name, or the identifier can be based on the name, or it can be based on the location. So location is nothing but address, N is nothing but name. Are you clear about this? Now, so when I say URI, I am referring to URL or URL. Most of the cases it is URI. Most of the cases it is going to be URI. Now if you open any book, you want to find information about any book. How they give? ISBN number 0001. They give you. They don't give the URL. If you are trying to open any online books, they will not give a URL. They will give what? ISBN number so and so. So it is what? Name of the resource. It is the name of the resource. They are not giving the address. They are giving what? Name of the resource. They are giving what? Name of the resource. Are you getting the point? Okay. Now, let us understand. What is this URL? How it is going to help to us? If you want to define any URL, we are going to have 4 parameters. What is that? Protocol, what we are going to use, host name, the server name, then port number, what is the port you are using, path and file name. So basically, look at the point. Whenever I am giving the URL, how many elements we have? 4 elements. If you want to go for the URL, we have 4 elements. What is the first one? So what is the protocol? It is a set of rules which both the parties are agreeing to communicate. So what type of protocol we have? HTTP, FTP, any one of the protocol. So protocol slash hostname. It is the name of the root folder where my resource is available. Now, basically, when I take a server, when I take a server, the server will have some IP address. So basically, I was supposed to refer with what? City, 8.2.3. This is how I have to refer basically. This is how I have to refer. But referring to the IP address is very difficult. So I give domain name. For this IP address, we give a domain name. Unique name we give, which we are calling as domain name. Which we are calling as domain name. So instead of referring this, what is the domain name I give? I give. So protocol. What is the first one we have? Protocol host name. Host name can be a domain name or it can be an IP address. It can be a domain name or it can be a IP address. It can be a domain name or it can be IP address. If it is a domain name, easy to refer, easy to remember. Okay. Next, port. What is this port? Listen to the point. This is also very important. What is this port? I have one system. These two systems want to communicate with each other. If these two systems want to communicate with each other, so for the system I have some ports here. Let us say this is port number 8. So these two systems want to communicate with each other. This is how we want. Now, if the system want to send any message, then the corresponding port should be open on the other side. If I am sending on the port number 80, other side also will receive the message on what? Port number 8. If I am sending a message on port number 100, other side also will be receiving the message on what? Port number 100. Right. If you are sending a message on 80, the other side also should open the port 80. If I am sending a message on 100, other side also you are supposed to send a message on 100. So whichever the port on which you are communicating, the receiving end also will open the same port. Then only the communication will happen. Then only the system will understand. Was I am sending a message on port number 80, you are also supposed to receive the message on port number 80. You understand what is that message. So what was this called? Port. Now, by default, some standard ports will be there for HTTP protocol. If you are using a HTTP protocol, by default they say default port number. What is the default port number? 8. For HTTP protocol, default port number is 80. If you don't mention any port number, by default it will take 80. If you don't mention the port number, by default it will take what? 80. If you don't mention the port number, by default you will take a default port number which is called 80. Now generally when you try to connect with the Oracle, what happened? 1521. Am I right? When you try to connect with the Oracle, what is that? 1521. When you try to go with the Tomcat, they give 8080. So the port number, default port numbers will be there. So if you don't mention the port number, the port number. Now I want to take my own port, you can define. If you don't mention any port number, by default you will take default port number. What is the default port number? Right. So what is the next one? What is the next one we got? Path and file name. So whenever you are trying to convey the message about URL contains of 4 elements: protocol, host name, port, path and file name. Protocol can be any one of the set of rules, which is like HTTP, FTP, SMTP, Telnet, TCP, like that different protocol. Host name, it can be IP address or it can be domain name. Port number, it's a number on the server through which you are communicating. Right. Default port for HTTP is 80. Path and file, name of the resource. This is what? URL. This is what? URL. The same copy I gave you. Then go back. So we give some example here. FTP, mail to, news, telnet. All these are protocols. Then next, we are trying to understand HTTP protocol. When you are trying to understand HTTP protocol, request and response is going through what? HTTP request message, HTTP response message. request message and response message we are supposed to understand. If you want to understand the request message and response message, so first you look at what is the default format of request message, what is the default format of response message. Look at this. By default, request is in the form of what? Message header, blank line, message body. Any request or response what you are sending or receiving over the HTTP protocol, on the top of HTTP protocol, any request or response what we are getting, it will be in the form of message header, blank line, message body. Body is always optional, header is mandatory. Whenever I want to send a HTTP request or whenever I want to take a HTTP response, it may be a request or response what I am sending. The request what you are sending or the response what I am receiving, it is defined. Request what you are sending, response what I am receiving, it is defined. It is defined using the template. What is the template? Message header, blank line, message body. Message header, blank line, message body. HTTP request or response, whatever I am sending, it will be sent in the form of message header, blank line, message body. The blank line is to separate the header and the body. Body is never mandatory. Body is never mandatory. It is an optional. In some of the requests, you may get body. In some of the requests, I may not get body. So if you are trying to communicate across the network using HTTP protocol, if you are trying to communicate across the network using HTTP protocol, you are supposed to have the request and response messages in the form of message header, blank, message body. Okay. That's similar. Then I will go with it. Then let us go with the other one. What is this? What we are trying to understand now, what is the HTTP request, what is the HTTP response. You have seen general message. Now you want to understand how the request message will be there and how the response message will be there. Right. Whenever you are trying to send a request message or response message, the format is going to be like this. What is the format? I told you already. Whenever somebody is trying to send a request, the message is going to be in the form of header, blank line, so we have request header message, blank line, request body message. But now we need to understand what elements will be there in the header. You told it will be header, but what elements will be there in header? We already seen request or response, both of them will have header, blank, body. But now in the request message, in the request HTTP request message, what will be there on the header? What will be there in the body? In the request header message, what will be there in the header? What will be there in the body? If you open this, first line of the request is called, what is it called? Request line. Remaining thing is request header. The complete one is called request message header. Request header message. Request message header. In the message header, what we have? Request line, request header. Request line, request header. Request line, request header. I hope I'm clear. Request line, request header. Now what I'm doing? Request message header, blank line. Then we have request message body, which is an option. So the request message is going to be in the form of request message is going to be in the form of request message header, blank line, request message body. In the header, what we are going to have? First line is called request line. What will be there in the request line? What will be there in the request line? Let us understand what will be there in the request line. If you want to understand the request line, look at the format. In this message, what was this called? First line? Request line. All these elements are called as what? All these elements are called as what? Request header. Blank line, body. The first line is called request line. First line is called request line. If you look at the request line, what is the first one we are finding here? What is the first one you are finding here? What is the first one you are finding here? So it is a type of method. What are they going to say? Type of, what type of method is this? Type of method. What is the second one we have? Is what? Path of the resource. What is the resource you are trying to request? URI. What was this? Path of the resource. Path of the resource. Then, what is the next one we have? Protocol. The protocol. What type of protocol you are using? So, if you want to take name of the method, then path of the resource, and the protocol what we are using. So, what was this line once again? First one. What was this? Method. What is the method we are using? What is the method we are using? The next, what was this? Is it URI? What was this? All these things called request line. All these things called request line. All these are called request header elements. What are the request header elements? What type of data you are accepting? What type of language you are accepting? What type of encoding you are accepting? Okay. What is the client from where you are calling? What is the length of the output? All these are what? Header elements. All these are called header elements. So I hope you got the basic structure of the request. What is the request? Tell me. First line is what? Request line. It will have with the method, with the URI, with the protocol. Rest all the things are called header elements. Blank body. Blank body. So let me give you the same example. Let us see the sample. Now tell me, what is the format? The question, what is this? Get. What is this called? URI. What is this called? Protocol. All these elements are header elements. All these elements are header elements. Blank body. Blank body. So, accept language. You are sending a request. You are supposed to send a response. I am sending a request. You are supposed to send a response. Send me the response in JSON only. Send me the response only in the HTML. Send me the response only in HTML. Send me the response in XML only. So like that you want to give any specific format, then we use what? Accept languages, accept. Similarly, let me take one more example. When this, what is it? The response message. Let us see some more request messages to understand this structure. Now, if this get is what? Method. What is the next one? URI. What is this? Protocol. That's all the things are called request header. Blank body. What is the format again? Get is what? Method. The next one is what? URL. Protocol is what? HTTP 1.0. What are the other things we have? request header elements, blank body. So what is the method we have? What is the URI? Profile.jsp. What is the protocol we are using? HTTP 1.1. What are the rest of the things called? Request headers. Then blank followed by body. I hope you got my point. HTTP request message will be having request line, request header element, blank line, request body. I hope you are clear. People are clear. People are clear about the format. Now, similarly, we have response. Right. We'll say response. Response is going to be this format. What is the response we have? Status line, response header, response message header, blank line, response body. So we have status line, response header, response message separated by blank line, response message body. So what was this? Here we also have response header, response body. Response header, response body. First line in the response is called status line. First line in the response is going to say status line. What is the status of the request? Is it success or is it failure? What is the status of the response? Is it a success or a failure? That we are going to indicate by status line. Look at this format. Now, what it is saying? Which protocol you are using? What is the status code? 200 is OK. What is the status message? OK. All these elements are called response header, then blank, then followed by response body. So what we have status line. What is the status line will say? Which protocol you are using? Then what is the status message? What is the status code? Status code and status message. Status code and status message. Response, protocol, status message, status code. Remaining things are called response header elements, response body elements, blank line. I hope you followed this. Followed? So now tell me, generalize the discussion. Request message. This is how we create it. Now we will say HTTP request, how the content will be. The first line is called request line. This is blank line. So this is how we have. When you say request line, how we are going to have? Request line will be method URI method URI protocol. So I am going to give get what type of protocol you are using. I hope you are clear with this format. message formats are clear, right boss? Everyone is comfortable with the formats? So request message, response message. Now, first, HTTP protocol is a connectionless protocol. HTTP protocol is a connection. I hope you got the request message, response message. Overall, whatever we learned, I'll give a diagramical representation. Get this format. Look at the format. Now, client will send a request. Request client. Then the client send a request to this request. So client is sending a request message to server is sending a response message to the client. This is a basic model. What was this model called? Client server model. This is a client server model. Client is sending a request to the server will understand and give a response. This is the basic structure. Basic understanding of our requirement. Right. Client is sending a request message, server will receive a request message, process, give the response. Okay. Now this is basic understanding. But what is this sales? Okay, what is this? What is this in terms of Salesforce? Or what is this in terms of connection full or connectionless? Look at the point. Understand carefully. Client request a data. Client is requesting a data. When a client is requesting a data, then server will receive this request. Once the server receives this request, it is going to disconnect the connection. Client is sending a request to server received a request, then the what server has done? It has disconnected your request. Then server will process the logic. Server will take its own time to process the logic. Once the server has performed everything, then what the server will do? Server will re-establish a connection with the client again. Who is going to re-establish? Server is going to re-establish a connection and give response. Boss, your requested this data, this is the response. So what was this? Client is sending a request to server, then server is disconnecting. Server is disconnecting the client. So client is no more connected with the server. Then server will understand the request, run the logic. Once the response is ready, then server will establish a connection with the client and send the response back. It is called connectionless protocol. Why connectionless? Once I received what I am doing, I am removing the connection. Once I receive the request, what I am doing? I am removing the connection. Once I receive the connection request, what I am doing? Remove the connection, then run the logic on the server. Once everything is okay, re-establish a connection with the client, then send the data. I hope you are clear. People are clear? So what type of protocol is this? Connectionless protocol. HTTP is a connectionless protocol. HTTP is a connectionless protocol. The next, it is a connectionless protocol and it is a stateless protocol. What do you mean by state? Look at the requirement. HTTP is a stateless protocol. So we have Client server. When a client sends a request to server will ask, who are you? Boss, I am unable to recognize you. Prove yourself. When a client sends a request to the server will say, who are you? Then server send a response. Then a client is saying, boss, I am Satish. This is my username password. Recognize me with my username password. Server received this and told, yes Satish, I recognize you. What do you want? Server told, what do you want? I recognize you. What do you want? Client told, I want page number 1. Then server gave page number 1. And again, client is asking, give me page number 2. Give me page number 2. Then the server will ask you, who are you? I told just now I give my username password. Boss, I will not remember whatever I spoke in the earlier transaction. Everything is new for me. Every time you are requesting any resource, you have to prove who you are. Now every time you make a request to me, you have to prove who you are. So what is that? Every time I make a request to the server, I have to prove who I am. So once I authenticate myself, it is useful for only one transaction. If once I authenticate, it is useful for only one transaction. Once I authenticate, I am useful for only one transaction. Let us go to your ATM. You swipe the card in the ATM. You made a transaction. There are 2 types of ATMs. One, you swipe the card, it will ask you PIN number, enter the PIN number, withdraw, then says thanks for using our ATM, close. If I want to make one more transaction, again swipe the card, again make the next transaction. Again if I want to make, again. So what is that? Every transaction requires authentication. So what type of protocol is this? Stateless protocol. There are some type of ATMs. Once you swipe, let's say, what do you want? Withdraw? Fine. Withdraw is done. You want to continue? You want to continue with another transaction? You say yes, it will not ask me PIN number again. Am I right or not? 2 types of ATM. One is, I swipe the card and ask, enter the PIN number. Then you ask, what do you want? Withdraw or deposit or what do you want? Second type of ATMs are, you swipe the card, it will ask you what do you want? Okay, enter your PIN, I enter the PIN. What do you want? Withdraw. After withdraw it says, do you want to make another transaction? If I say yes, it will ask you to enter the PIN number again. You went to ATM box. You are trying to withdraw. There are 2 types of ATMs. First ATM, you went there, swiped the card, then it told, enter the PIN number. I entered my PIN number. Then it asked, what do you want? I told withdraw. Enter the amount, withdraw completed. Then they say, thanks for using ATM, close. If I want to make one more transaction, again I have to swipe the card. It will ask me, enter the PIN number. Enter the PIN number. Then ask, what do you want? Withdraw. Take the money. Thanks for using. One more time withdraw. Again, swipe the card, enter the PIN number. So what is it? Every time I want to make a transaction, I have to provide my credentials. Every time I want to make a transaction, I have to provide my credentials. The second format of ATM is, what is the second format of ATM? Now I went to ATM, swiped the card, it told enter the PIN, entered, let us say 1111. Then they told, boss, what do you want? Withdraw, completed. Do you want to make another transaction? I told yes. Then directly make a transaction. It is not asking the PIN number again. So once you got your PIN number entered, it will maintain your PIN number, and next time it is not going to ask you, boss, what type of authentication you want. So what was that called? It's a connection full protocol. So what is that? Stateless, sorry. It is a stateless. Second one is what? Stateful. Stateless means I don't remember what you spoke with me earlier. Everything should be new. I don't remember what you spoke to me earlier. Everything is a new. When you say stateless, whatever the communication we had earlier, I will not remember. Everything is a new for me. When you say stateful, every communication you make with me, once you communicate with me, I will remember what all the communication that is happening from you. So every communication I remember, you need not prove me again who you are. Just continue to perform operation. So what type of protocols we have? Stateless and stateful. Now what is this HTTP? HTTP is a stateless protocol. What type of protocol is this? Stateless. When it is a stateless, what happened? Stateless means what? Every communication is a new communication. We are supposed to prove who we are. Every communication is a new communication. We are supposed to prove who we are. We are supposed to prove who we are. I hope I am clear. Now tell me what is HTTP now? HTTP is a hypertext transfer protocol which is used to exchange the data across the network by obeying the set of rules. Now, when you want to use HTTP protocol, we are supposed to understand request message, response message. Request message will have header and blank line body. In the request header, we have request line, which is wiki method, which URI, what protocol. Header will contain header elements like we got accept language, accept encoding, accept encoding, accept language, accept. This type of header elements are there. Blank line is used for what? Separating the header and body. Body will be optional. You may send a response body, you may not send a response body. I hope I am clear. People are clear? Clear about this? Right, boss? Now, connectionless. What is a connectionless? What is a connectionless? Once they send a request, connection is removed and they are going to ask you, boss, received a request, will acknowledge back. So once the connection is received, establish a connection, send a request. Once the request is received, disconnect. Take your own time to complete the task. Once you are completed, send back the response by re-establishing the connection. When is a connection full? When I send a request, connection is still available. Connection is still available. On the same connection, I will be sending the response. When it is a stateless, your previous communications are not remembered. Every transaction is a new transaction. Your previous transactions are remembered, then it's called stateful. Not remembered, it's called stateless. Points are clear? Everyone is clear? People are clear? So it's a stateless, connectionless protocol used to transfer the data across the network. What formats of data it can transfer? It can support both JSON and XML. What type of data it can support? JSON and XML. What is the default format of response? JSON. By default, the format is what? JSON. What type of response we are going to get? JSON format of response. What type of response we are going to get? JSON format of response. I hope you are clear, right? So HTTP supports which format of data? JSON and XML. What is the default format? JSON. I hope people have got the basic idea. Everyone has got the basic idea. Still, anybody has any query on that? Any query? Now, look at the format. So, this is a page. Now, server client. Right. It's a server. Now, what is my requirement? I am entering the data. Whatever the data I am entering the data, sending a request to these people. What is that? Boss, with this data, create one record. So you are sending a request. request to insert the data. Then what happened? The request is received here, and so what are you trying to perform here? You are trying to perform modification on the data. You are trying to perform modification on the data. You are trying to perform modification on the data. When you are trying to perform the modification on the data, you are sending the modified data like Ravi 2222. When you are sending the data, to the server and modifying the data in the server, it is called as what? Post method. What type of method? Post method. If you are sending the response, if you are sending the data to the server, with the data, if you are trying to make changes on the production, if you are trying to make changes on the server, that is called post. Taking the request from the client is sending some data. Whatever the data the client is sending, the same data is saved to database. That is called post request. When is a post request, message will be having like this. With a post request, message will have header, blank line, now post method. When do you go for post? When you want to post the data to the server, when you want to insert some new data to the server, then what type of request we are going to use? Post request. When you go to post, what will be the format of your message? Header, blank line, body. Header, blank line, body. What type of data will be there? Header, blank line, body. Header, blank line, body. I hope you are clear. Then I told, boss, fetch the data of Satish, modify the phone number. What are you trying to do now? So what I am trying to do? I am trying to replace the data in the production. I am trying to replace the data in the production. Now whatever the data that is there on the server, the data we are trying to replace or update. So what type of operation is this? Put operation. What type of operation is this? Put. Post and put are used for what? Making the changes on server side. If you want the data on the server side to be modified, then the method should be what? Post method or put method. If you want data to be taken from the client to the server, post or put. No boss, whatever the data we have in the server, I want to get the data. I don't want to give a data to you. Whatever the data that is with you, give me the data. That is called get method. What is the method called? Get is what? Getting the data from server to the client. Getting the data from server to the client is called get method. Then what is that post method? Putting the data from the client, you are sending any data to the server and storing. It is what? Post method. Are you clear about this? So what is it? Inside, okay, what is it? Put, post, get, head. What is it? Post, get, post, put, head. This is some more methods are there. Understand this. Now, if it is a get method, how it is? Client sending a request to, when a client is sending a request to server, message will be like this. Now do you have body here? Do you have any body? Do you have any body? No. So request will have only header. There will be no body. Request will have only header. When you say get method, what is the method here? Get method. If you say get method will have only header. No body will be there. Suppose what I am doing, requesting them. When you request, data is coming from server. The response will be the same. What is the response? Response header blank Response is given to the client. I hope you are clear. I hope you are clear with this. What is it? Client is sending a request to the server. Server is giving a response. Now response will have header and body. When you say method is get, only header will be there. There is no body. Then if there is no body, how will you send the data? How will you send the data? Boss, if there is any body, I will send in the body. If there is no body, how will you send the data? Data will be sent in the URL. Data will be sent in the URL. So let us see this example one more time. This is a client. This is the server. You are supposed to send a request message. In the request message, now what is the method we are giving? If it is a get, we are not going to have any body. As we don't have any body, whatever the data you want to send, the data should be sent in the URL. Right. Same thing if I am giving as a post. If I am giving as a post or put. Now, if it is a post or put, what I am getting here? In the header elements will be there. In the body, whatever the data we want to send to the server, the data will be there in the body. So when you say post method, whatever the data we want to send, the data will be there in the body. Whatever the data we want to send, the data will be there in the body. When you say get, whatever the data you want to send, that has to be sent in the URL as it doesn't have any body. I hope you got my point. When do you go for get? When do you go for get? If you want some data from the server, the data which is in the server, I want the data. Requesting the data which is there in the server. The data which is already in the server, the data I am requesting, then I will go for what? Get. When do you go for post? If you want to put some new data into server. If you want to modify any data in the server, you are going for post. Right. Put is to replace, post is to create. Generally, but practically we use post for both. I hope you are clear. People are clear. People are clear about this, right? So get method will not have body. Post method will have header and body. I hope I am clear with this. So let us go to the next one. I have given a very clear step-by-step options for you in explaining each and every request. Like I told, request header name, each and everything I have given very clear description about the whatever I explained. Every point I have given a clear description. Just follow my hot copy. The next one, when you are going for the HTTP, next point. First, in general, we have seen what is HTTP. Very good. You told HTTP is a protocol. Second, you told it's a hypertext. Third, you told it's a connectionless. Fourth, you told it's a stateless. Okay. Fifth, you told it is used for exchanging data. Sixth, you told it will support XML and JSON. You told it will support XML and JSON. But if you want to use this in the Salesforce, what are the classes that are available? If you want to use this HTTP within the Salesforce, what are the names of the classes that Salesforce is providing? In the JSON we have system.json, system.json generator, system dot JSON parser. Similarly, we have DOM dot XML node, DOM dot okay, DOM dot XML node and DOM dot document. Like that, what are the classes that are available or created by the Salesforce to support this HTTP operation? When you want to perform HTTP operation, what are the classes and methods that are given by the Salesforce to support this operation? So what are the things that Salesforce has given you? HTTP class, HTTP request class, HTTP response class. What he has given? HTTP class, HTTP request class, HTTP response class. Using HTTP class, what I can do? You can send a request, get the response. Send is the method which will send a request object, receive the response object. Then where is that send method available? It is available on HTTP class is a predefined class which is having a method called send, which will send the request object, receive the response object. To string, convert the object into string format. Similarly, HTTP request class. What is the purpose of HTTP request class? Was if you want to send a request to the server, first you should know which is server. If I want to send a request to you, I should know your address. Unless I know your address, I cannot make a request to you. So what was that? If I want to make a request to you, I should know your address. What is the first point? Set endpoint URL. What type of request? Is it a post? Is it a get? Is it a put? Is it a head? What type of request? So we are supposed to know set method. Get, head, post, put, delete, connect. Then we have different format. What is it? Get. Head will give you what? When I send a request to you, response size will be given to me. Response header will give it to me. I'll come back to the points again. Then what is the other one we have? Set method, set the endpoint URL. Then was, if I want to send any body to you, in the body, I'll send the data. How to send the data? How to send the data in the body? We have set body. So, how to send the data? Set body. Sometimes the body may be an image. Body may be a PDF file. Body may be a XML document. Then we say set body as. Then we have set a document. In case if you want to send XML file, set a document body. Set compression. If the size of the file is more, you want to compress and set, use set compressed. Now tell me once again. Listen to the format everyone. If a client want to send a request to server, what are the things that are required? If a client want to send server address, then what type of method is this? Set. Sometimes we want to set the header, accept only JSON, accept only XML, okay, accept only English US header, set header. Method, body, header, method, body, header. You may also timeout, set document, right? Like this, there are method. But out of all these, what are the basic things we need to understand? What is that? What is the address? Which method? You are setting any body or you setting any header? These four methods are important to us. When you want to make a request, what are the four methods that are important to you? Server address, method, set body, set address. Right? Okay. Now, server is giving a response to you. When server is giving a response, it also has certain methods. What are the methods it has? Get the body from the server. Get the body as block. You will send the body as an image. Right. Then, what are the header elements you have set? What is the status? What is the status? So these are the commonly used. What are the commonly used? Was. What is the body they have given? Response is what? Body. Get status. What is the status of the request? Success or failure? Then we have get. We give a key, they are going to give property of it. So client server. Listen carefully, boss. One more time. I'll club all the things in a meaningful format. Look at the format. He is a client. Want to send it? Now, when you want to send a request to the server, you are supposed to read what? Request. You are supposed to read. In the request message, what should I do? What should I do? To which server you are sending? To which URL you are sending? What file you are sending? Is to get the data or set the data? Now, set the body. Set. What are the things we have? You should know URL, you should know body, you should know URL, you should know method, you should know body, how to send the body, how to send the header. Now once you send this request will go to server. When the request will go to server will give a response. The response is going to say, get body. Get header key. Get header key. Then get status. So when they are sending, what status they are sending, what is the body they are sending, what is the header elements they are sending. These three things you need to understand. Like this they will be sending. Client is sending a request, server giving a response. Client is giving a request, okay, server giving a response. Are you clear about this format? Are you clear? Clear about this? People have followed this? Okay. People have followed this? Right. Basic example we'll do it. We'll do basic example, then we'll come back to theory one more time. So basic example. Was anybody want to send a request to someone? If anybody want to send a request to someone, first you have to understand to whom you are sending a request. What type of request is this? To send this request, do you need to send any data? To send this request, do you need to send any data? Do you have any conditions that data has to come in English only? Data has to come in US English only? Data has to come in JSON only? Data has to come in only this one? Data has to be sent in UDF format only? Data should be compressed. Do you have any conditions like that? If you have any such type of condition, put them in header. All your conditions are in the header. Now, then we go to server. Server will process. Server will give a response. When server is giving a response, all its conditions and values. What is the size of response? Which language they are sending a response? Okay, which format they are sending a response? All that will be in header. Where is the body? In the body. The body, response body will be there. People have followed this. People have followed this. Once again I am repeating. Listen, when a client is sending a request to the server, if I want to make a request to a server, what are the things I have to remember? To which server I am sending a request? Which format of request is this? Now, do you have any one of my own conditions? Do you have my own condition? Language should be this. Okay, language should be this. Format should be this. Okay, encoding should be this. Do you have any such type of condition? Put them in header. You want to send me data? Put them in body. So, what are the four parameters? Tell me. What are the four parameters? Endpoint, method, okay, body, header. What is that? Endpoint, method, body, header. You send to the server. Server will give a response. When server is giving a response, what server is giving? Get body. What server is giving? Body. Server is giving. Server is giving you what? Body. Okay. And if I have, it's going to tell you, boss, I am sending a response in English, take it. I am sending a response in JSON, take it. You requested the format in JSON, right? Now server is saying, boss, I am sending the data in XML, take it. I am sending the following data in XML format. I am sending the following data in XML format in English US. Right. So in XML format, US English, status is success, failure, where all this data, it is on header. Now the response to what you are giving, it is in body. People got it? People got it? Now where is the request? HTTP request. Where is the response? HTTP response. What is the purpose of send? If I send, you will give response. If I send request, you will give response. I hope you are clear. Am I clear? People are clear? People are clear? What is the basic structure? Are you sure? Sure? Now, I will try to apply some examples. Now, I will try to apply some examples. A lot of theory is there, but I'll come back. I don't want to trouble you with a lot of theory now. I'll come back with an example, we'll come back. Now, we will try to make a quick example. What is this example? My example is, let me make it a simple one straight away. Yes, it is working. I will check whether this URL is working still. Okay. Now they are giving, if you give the city name, they are giving the response. If you give the city name, they are giving the response. Now what was this? In the response we are getting a pin code number. The response we are getting pin code number. What was that? Was whenever a new lead is created, based on the city, find out the pin code. Based on the city, find out the pin code, add the pin code to the record. Whenever a new lead is created, okay, make a web service call to third party, find out what is the pin code of this, and get the pin code, append this pin code to the lead record. This is my requirement. When this should happen? When a new lead is created. Now, if you want some action to be performed when a lead is created, whenever a new record is created, if you want some action to be performed, what is the possibility? What are the possibilities we have? Workflow rules, process builder, triggers. Workflow rules, process builder, triggers. Using process builder also I can invoke Apex class, right? I can invoke Apex class and I can do it. Okay. Now look at the format. I want to achieve this using a triggers. I want to apply this condition using a trigger. So what is that? When a new lead is created, automatically send a request to third party. Send a request to third party. Find out the pin code number. Once you got the pin code number, then update it. Once they got the pin code number, update it. So how do you make it dynamic? Look at the format. First I require pin code number. Go to reads. I want to create a custom field here first. Go to this. custom field, pin code. To store the pin code, I create a custom field. Now you want to write a trigger. Now I told you already, it is not a good practice to write code within the trigger. Always write your code within the class and invoke it. It is not a good practice to write code directly within the trigger. Always write your code within the Apex class, invoke the class. Why? Why? Reusability. Why? Reusability. What is that? I am taking a class. So I am writing here public void public static void get codes. I can say. Whenever you are trying to write a web service in the trigger, always ensure that it will be off the trigger. So that I will not wait for the process. I'm ready. List of leads. Public static void option. What I was supposed to do? Listen carefully. Do you know how many leads we have? We have one by one lead I want to take it. How do you get request? HTTP p equal to HTTP p equal to new HTTP. First I was supposed to create HTTP request message. Request equal to. First we are supposed to create request object. When you are creating a request object, what was that? Request dot set endpoint. In the endpoint, what I am doing here? Post office plus new lead what I am doing? Whatever the lead pin code is there, pass that pin code. Sorry. Whatever the lead city is there, pass that city name. In the lead, there is a field called city. We have the field called city. Go back. We have a field called. Where is the field? You are not finding any field called city. Address. No, that will be a different format. New. I am giving pick list, not pick list. I will give some text. So, what are the city name you have entered? That city name I want to pass. I given. Right, boss? So, what I am doing here, instead of creating this format, I was supposed to create string URL. What is the URL to which you are making a request? Plus new lead dot. I have taken the URL. Right? Now, you are supposed to set the endpoint. How do you set the endpoint? Request dot. Right. Is a URL. What type of request is this? Set. Am I passing the data in the URL or body? I am passing the data in the URL. City name I am passing in the URL. What type of method is this? Now this is the URL and what type of request I am sending? Get method. Now if it is a get, there will be no body. If it is a get, there is no body. Then they are going to get it. HTTP response equal to how do you send the response? P dot send. If you send a request, I am going to get a response. P dot send a request. If you send a request, I am going to get a response. Once you got the response, you are supposed to get the body. String body equal to Boss, this is the basic structure we created. Request object, this is the URL to which you have to send a request. Method is get. You will send a request, we are getting a response. Response what? Get body. Now, once you get the response, first I will show it. New lead. I will put in the description so that you understand. Description equal to. First I am putting in the description. Then you are supposed to update leads. I can do it in the before insert also, but the problem is if it take more time, the process need to be unrolled. Okay. Look at the point. Now we are making this operation. What was this operation? Making a request to some third party system, finding out what is the pin code of the city. Yeah, I am going to give a pin code. I am going to give a city name. Based on the city name, I want to find out the pin code. Now, any query about this code? Anyone has any query? We create a request, URL, method, send a request, what the response? Body. Anyone has any query on that? Come again? Yeah, still not complete. Response is not done. There will be some errors now. Now, people are followed? Right? Okay. Now let us see. I have to write a trigger now. Apex trigger. Read pin code on which object. So look at all the errors what I am going to get. It is a off reset. Then what I am doing? I was supposed to call class name dot I am calling off reset. I am also giving. There is a possibility that I may write extra code here. The feature trigger dot is after trigger dot is itself. There is a possibility that I may write extra event. So I don't want to disturb the current event, so I am writing separate. Now, whenever a new event is created, automatically it is going to call a method. When you call the method, what is happening? It is going to make a web service call to third party, then get the pin code. This is your requirement. Okay. Now let us run this. Are you getting any error as of now? No error. Okay. Let us run and see what type of errors we are getting. There are 3 types of errors. Look at the format. First, lead. I will repeat. First, callouts are not supported. System dot callout exception. System dot callout exception. System dot callout exception. Boss, triggers are not going to support synchronous web services. In the trigger, you cannot directly call a web service. In the trigger, you cannot directly make a web service. In the trigger, you cannot directly make a web service. In the trigger, you cannot make a web service call. If you cannot make a web service call directly in the trigger, how will you achieve? My requirement says when a lead is created, it should get a pin code. But trigger says you cannot make a web service. But pin codes are available in third party system. If I want to get the third party system, I have to send web service call. Trigger says I will not support synchronous web services. Synchronous web services. Use the word. Synchronous web services are not supported by trigger. Trigger says I will not support synchronous web services. So, if you want to call web services in the trigger, how do you call it? If you want to call web services in the trigger, how do you call it? Then, what I am doing, I am making this method as a future method. At the rate of future. But if you make it at the rate of future, there is a problem. What is it? Boss, whenever you are trying to pass future method, first of all, future method will not accept what? List of S objects. Future method will not accept list of S object. But I have to pass list of S object. What are the solutions we have? Either serialize and send it, or else we can also send IDs. Now in this case, it is an after insert, right? If it is after insert means what? Already we have IDs. What I can do? I'll make set of ID with a dot, the map dot, or if you want to make it simple, I'll speed it up. Map of ID comma read. Map we got in the map what we have? Set of ID is. So instead of passing trigger dot new, I am passing what? IDs. Why IDs? Because it's already what? After. When it is after trigger, automatically what happens, boss? If it is after trigger, IDs are available. So what you are supposed to do? We got IDs, list of read, select, import, ID in. Whatever the IDs you are passing, based on the IDs I am giving. Boss, here what I have done? What I have done? Instead of passing the list of S object, first of all, trigger is not supporting web service call. If trigger is not supporting the web service call, I made it as feature. When I made it as a feature, feature is not supporting list of S object. So what did I do? I converted list of S object as list of IDs. Then I pass the IDs. Now is it done? Done, boss? Now let us run it. Still we have second error. Save it. Still we have the same error. What is this? Boss, method does not exist. Why method does not exist? Why the method does not exist? You cannot call. What was the method here? Set of ID. Go back and run it again. Now record saved. Record is saved. Am I right? Record is saved. But is the web service is success or failure? Is the web service is success or failure? How do you know it? Go to setup. Go to logs. Jobs. Apex jobs. What happened? Call out cannot is not allowed in the future method. So what happened? Record is successful, okay, but web service is failure. But when web service is failure, how the record is saved? Because it is asynchronous operation. It is asynchronous means what? It is running independently. When it is running independently, if something happens in this operation, the regular operation will not be stopped. Because it is asynchronous, right? When it is asynchronous, you are running independently. If something happens with you, my operation will not be stopped. If something happens with you, my operation will not be stopped. That is the reason. Even though the future method is failure, but still the record saved. Why? Because it is asynchronous operation. If something happens with you, something wrong happens with you, you are not going to impact me. If something goes wrong with you, you are not going to impact me. My operation is different, your operation is different. If you are a failure, only you are failure. I will not be a failure. Are you clear about this? Now what is the bug we got? Future method will not accept callouts unless EQ at the rate of, how should I give? At the rate of future. So second type of error we fixed. First type of error, trigger will not support. Second type of error, if you want to call a future, it has to be call out equal to true. Otherwise, future will not support. Done? Again, we have one more error, third type of error. Let me save the record. Record saved. Does that mean that operation is completed? Go to the event jobs. Still we got error. What is the error now? Was if you want to make any web service calls, the URL of the server should be reached as remote site settings. If you want to call any web services, if you want to make any web service call, then whatever the URL you are using, that URL should be reached as remote site settings. So whenever you are making a web service call to whichever the system you are sending a request, that URL should be reached as remote site settings. What I was supposed to do? Security controls. Then we have security settings, remote site settings. So whatever you are sending, that has to be registered with the remote site setting. Okay. Then again go back. Then complete your record again. Now it's saved. Record is saved. What is the pin code we got? Nothing. Because record is saved first. Now, once it is saved, what we are getting here? What is the description we are getting? Why you are getting this one? Because it's a response. Now record is saved. Again refresh the page. Data is saved. Why you are refreshing? Because the feature is running separately. It takes some time to update. Now is the operation successful? Yes or no? Operation is successful. When the operation is successful, if the operation is successful, but the response is coming in the form of what? Response is coming in the form of? Response is coming in the form of? Now, your pin code number should be taken. Now, we are getting the response in the form of JSON. From the JSON response, what you are supposed to initialize? Pin code number. You are supposed to take the pin code number. You are supposed to take the pin code number and put it in the database. How do you take the pin code number? Deserialize JSON. We got the response in the form of JSON. We are supposed to deserialize it. How do you deserialize? How do you deserialize? System dot JSON parser. Then I am giving while gp dot not equal to while next to is not equal to pin code, come here. Or else we can say next code is not equal to null. When next token is not equal to null, check it. If current token equal to if the current token equal to pin code, where is the value? Value will be in the next position. If the current token is in the pin code, value will be in the next position. So what I am doing? jp dot equal to pin code equal to what is the body you got? jp dot after pin code what will be there? After the pin code what we are going to get? If current token is pin code, next will be value of the pin code. Currently I am at the pin code, value is at the next position. Currently, if I'm at pin code, value is at the next position. That's what I've given. Now, go back again. Create a dummy record. Pin. Save it. Then refresh. What happened? The pin code number is saved. Why? Because we are getting the response in the form of JSON. I applied JSON parsing, then I used it. I hope you are clear. Right? Now, what are the things? It is a simple HTTP example only, very simple example. But the problem is, we are not taking the simple example directly. We are trying to take along with the triggers. When you are trying to use this along with the triggers, we have some issues with that. Now, what was that? First of all, if you want to make a HTTP request, what you are supposed to do? Request object. In the request object, what we have? Endpoint URL. And what type of method is this? Get method. What type of method is this? Get method. What type of method is this? Get method. So we are going to get a response. When you get a response, response dot get body. When you go to the body, what format of response is this? JSON format of response. When the response is in the form of JSON, what you are supposed to do? Deserialize and use it. Right. Now when you are using this, what are the problems we got? Triggers will not support synchronous web service. So if you want to call any web service in the trigger, either have to call a future method, tuple the batch methods. You can define the web service in the batch methods, call it in trigger. You can call web services in the future method, call the future method. You can define the web service in tuple, call it in the trigger. But to call the method, to call one logic, I cannot get a batch methods. That is the reason I am going with the best option. What is that? Future. But if you are trying to call a future method along with the web service, then what I was supposed to do? At the rate of future, call out equal to true. But if you want to call a future method within a trigger, you cannot pass list of S objects. As you cannot pass a list of S objects, what is the solution I give? I ask you to pass list of ID. If you want to pass a list of ID, what type of trigger is that? After trigger. Why? Because you want to pass a list of ID. If you want to pass a list of IDs, it should be after trigger. It should be a after trigger. I hope I am clear. I hope you are clear with this. The issues what we are going to get and how to fix them as per the business requirement. Are you clear? Okay. Let me give next example. Let me give next example. In this example, we got the response in the form of what? Yes. Okay. Now, for the sake of learning, basic execution I am doing it. Basic execution. Everyone, listen carefully. Same code I am executing in anonymous window. Basic level example. Basic level example I am doing. What is the response I am giving? Instead of get head. Instead of get I am giving as what? Same thing I am giving, but the only point is get head. I will not give a body, I will print a response. What will be there in the response? Response I am printing. What is the method we give? Followed exception, server returned HTTP response code 405 URL. What is the URL we got here? Now why? It is expecting what? Get method I give head method. So to explain you this, okay fine. If I put head, what is the format of this head? What is the format of the head? You are giving this request. When you are giving this request, what is the format of the response you are going to get? When I say head, when you said, I don't want entire response. I don't want entire response. I want only the header part of the response. In the response, what will be coming? Head and body. Response will come with head and body. I don't want entire response. I want only header. I don't want entire response. I want only header. Followed exception. Chalo, let me run from here on. Because of method, we may be getting error, but I'll try it out one more time. So look at this. What are the methods we have? We have a method called head. The same thing I am trying to apply here. So, response I am going to get. This response I want to call head. If the method is not working for head, we cannot do anything, but from our end, let us try. No. So what was this? So what may be the reason? What may be the reason? This URL is not supporting. That URL is not supporting head. The URL is not supporting head operation. The URL is not supporting head operation. It is supporting get, but it is not supporting head. So what is the method it is going to support? Now how do I know which method it is supporting? Now I thought it will support this. I thought it will support this. Then I made. I thought it will support this. Then I made a request. But it is not supporting. Then how do you know it? Go back to this. I thought it will support the head, but it is not supporting. But how do I know whether it is going to support head or not? I hope you got my point. I thought head will be supported. I thought head is going to be supported. I made a request, but it is not supporting. But how do you know it? Again, make a request again. Again, make a request. Leads. Save it. Now what is it? HTTP response status whether not allowed, status code equal to 50. Now what are you getting here, boss? It is saying, boss, what it is saying? What it is saying? Boss, It is not going to accept the method called options. It is not going to accept the method called options. You made a request, very good, but this method is not allowed. So if the method is not allowed, what type of error code we are getting? 405. What type of error code we are getting? 405. URL is working, but on that URL, the method is not accepted. We have head, we have post, we have get, we have option, we have put. Now URL we know, we cannot make a request of whatever the request we want. On that URL, whether this method is supported or not. If that method is not supported, what type of error we are getting? 405. I hope you got my point here. We made a successful attempt, we made a failure attempt of URL. If it is a failure attempt, what type of error we received? 4xx. 4xx. When it is a 4xx, problem is from your end. If it is 5xx, problem is from server. Your code is perfect, everything is available there, but server side is a problem, so it is a 5xx. Now what is this? 4xx. In that, specifically what is that? 405. What is the 405? What is the 405? Method not allowed. Method not allowed. What is the 405? Method not allowed. 405. Method not allowed. I hope you got my point. One success message, one failure message. Let us go to the next one. I'll take one more example. I feel everyone has followed my points. Followed my points, everyone? Everyone has followed? One successful attempt, one failure. What attempt I made? Method, okay, method not supported. URL not supported, 404. Method not supported, 405. So, the moment you say, I have integrated my Salesforce with third-party system, they'll ask you, what are the common errors you encountered? Tell me some error codes what you encountered while working with integration. You told you are working with REST API. Tell me some error codes what you encountered. So what is that? 404 URL error. URL not 4. 405 URL 4 but method not allowed. URL 4 but method not allowed. 5xx server side issue. I hope I'm clear. So in this example, what type of response I received? What type of response I received? JSON. Now I want to go with the XML response. Now I'll go with the XML response. So let us understand how to make a request to third party, which will give me a XML response, and how to deserialize and use it. So in this case, I'm going to use XML response. Now what I'm doing, boss, I want to make a web service call to third party system, which will give me my system location. Which will give me my system location. In which longitude I am, in which latitude I am, who is the network provider for me, okay, which state I am, which city I am, I want to get my location. Based on the internet what I am using, they have to give me my longitude, latitude and location rates. Based on the internet what I am using, they have to give me my longitude, latitude and location rates. This is my requirement. Are you getting my point again? Based on the internet connection what I am using some internet connection. Based on my internet connection, they have to give me my location details. This is my requirement. So let me give this example with a basic Apex level. So till now whatever I covered, anyone has any issue? Everyone has followed the points? People have followed those points? Anyone has any issue with that? Clear? Everyone is clear? Clear? Public. So I'm giving public void Right. So how do you make a request box? Public void. Now, why I'm not defining a static here? Why I'm not defining static? Was you cannot call a static method in the VF page. You cannot call a static variable in the VF page. Static variables and static methods cannot be defined displayed in the VF page. From VF page, we can only invoke non-static members. Static members cannot be invoked. That's the reason I'm going with the regular method. So let me go with this. How do you make request box? String URL. What is the URL I have? URL is what? Endpoint URL. So I have given some endpoint URL for you. You trace. You can try out with the same example. I guess you trace this endpoint URL. So I'm going to give you some PHP URLs which you can use probably tomorrow or next session. I'm going to give some my own application URLs. I'm going to give. You can practice of insertion and deletion, everything you can practice. As of now, I'm giving some simplified, but for the next start day, I'll give my API, my own website, username, passwords, and website. You can try with that. For now, I'm giving generalized, open one. I'm giving it. So I'm going with this. I give IP address. It's a URL. If I'm passing the parameters in the URL, it is what type of method? It is what? Get method. It is what? Get method. If you want to send a request, what you are supposed to do? HTTP. Because the class has a method called send. Now, what you are supposed to create? HTTP request equal to request dot set endpoint. This is the endpoint. What type of method is that? Get should be capital. Then you are sending a response. HTTP response equal to p dot send. You send a request, we are going to get a response. Then I'm going to give XML string equal to I'll print a complete response. First, understand how the response structure is going to be. XML string. The complete response, not only body, complete response I'm trying to create. You are supposed to create VF page with enter IP address, text, value equal. You enter IP address of your system. Then I give fx. Basically, I'm creating a button. When I click on the button, you're supposed to give some reply. Right. So when I'm trying to make this first error, I'm going to get what is the error? Was when now trying to make a web service call to any third party system, you are supposed to give that endpoint URL as remote site setting. If you don't give it as a remote site setting, obviously you are going to get what? Error. So first let me run this. First error. What is the error? Your system should be go with this endpoint URL, security settings, remote site settings. So this is how we created. Then you are supposed to know your IP address. So I can go to my security controllers. I can go with the login flow activations, IP address of my system. Okay. Now you go to the IP address, enter the IP address, trace it. When you trace, you go to the response. What is it? System.http response status equal to okay, status code equal to. So what was this? Header status equal to okay, status code equal to 200. This is what? Header. It is only giving you what? Header. Okay. Then if you want the body, go back. What we are getting here is the body. Previously, what did you get? Header. In the header, what elements are there? Status and code. Now we got the body. The body is in which format? XML format. The body is in XML format. You are supposed to creating the body. This is how we got the body here. This is how we got the body. So what was this? Root, child, the subtail we have all the values. Root, child, in the subtail we have all the values. So it is in the form of XML. If it is in the form of XML, what I was supposed to do was, you are supposed to deserialize. How do you deserialize? I am putting everything in the form of so it will be an object. I don't know what type of values we are going to get. So I am putting in. I don't know whether it's going to be string or integer, what type of value it is. So I was taking the value as object. So how do you deserialize? Dot document you suppose give load. Once you load, what you are supposed to do? Dot XML load root equal to get the root element. Get the root element. Once you got the root element, you are supposed to give get chain elements. For this chain element, we are going to have multiple chain elements. So what is that? Dot so get tail elements. So once you got the tail elements, we are supposed to give the map dot What was that? We are deserializing the JSON. What was this? Get elements. Come again. Child elements. The bug here. Illegal assignment of. Okay, list of child elements we are going to get. What was that? Method does not exist called get value. Right. So what did I do? This is a deserialization. We have done a couple of examples how to deserialize. Right. The same format I have used. Now don't ask me what is that XML deserialization. We have done a couple of examples. The same format I have used. How to deserialize. Now I was supposed to put the data in the map. When you are supposed to put the data on the map, I am giving an apex. I am giving apex column value equal to have a dot. A is what? Key. When you are trying to display a map, A will be a key. So here we have header value. So how you display the value of map in a page block table box? So this is how we have created the map and displaying the data. Everything I kept in a map and I was trying to display the data. Go back. For the IP address I gave activation. Yes. We got the data, country code, host, IP address, ISP. So we got the corresponding information. Right. Somebody activated from Chennai. Some student I think some student has logged in. Some student is from Kanchipuram, Chennai. So the IP address came from there. Alright. I hope I'm clear with this. Based on the IP address, you can find out from which location you have logged in. What is the connection you are taking? What is the ISP number? Based on the ISP number, we can find out from which system you are accessing, from which location, which connection, which person is accessing my system programming. So what was this? We are writing a web service called to third party system, getting the response in the form of XML. So when you make a request to third party, you are supposed to get the response in the form of what? You are supposed to get the response in the form of JSON or XML. When you get the JSON, you are supposed to deserialize and use it. If you get an XML, you are supposed to deserialize and use it. Right. How you make a request? How you make a request? HTTP request object, HTTP response object. Is that what's clear? Clear for everyone? People follow this? People follow this? Any further queries? Any further queries? Anyone has any further queries here? Clear? Am I clear with this? Let me go to the next one. Let me give some more technical information what we have. Now, tell me what this HTTP stands for. Now, is it a connectionless or connectionful? Error. It would know. Girlfriend గుర్తొచ్చిందా? వయసు గట్టి నేర్చుకుంటాం. ఒళ్ళు దగ్గర పెట్టుకొని జాగ్రత్త క్లాస్ రాడు. అర్థమైందా? Now, is it connectionless or connectionful? Is it connectionless? Is it stateless or stateful? Okay, stateful or stateless? Stateless. Now, next. So it is going to support. What is the format of response is going to support? JSON, XML. General Indian format, but basically we are going to use JSON. What is the default format of response? JSON format of response. Default is JSON. Now, what are the different types of methods we have? Get. Get will have. Post will have. Put will have. We have head. Head will have. Head will have. Then response. For this request, the response will be response will have header and for this also response will be only response will be only like this we got get the post put the head delete also this. Now, what are the possible ports we are going to get? When you say ports, what are the ports? 1, X, X, there is 101, 102. This is still under processing. Request not received and still under processing. 2XX, request is success. Request is success. 3XX, boss, it has some proxy calls. It is redirecting to the other server. Let's say I am a bridge. You made a request to me, I am making a request to someone else. Now it is a proxy. Proxy servers are there, or firewalls are there, or bridges are there. So request is success, but proxies are there, it's a redirecting. You redirect to me, I am redirecting to somebody. Simply, when you open a mobile phone, you get some message. When you click on it, it will take you to some other call. Right? The video will be something, when you click on it, it will take you to some other video. Link will be something, when you click on it, it will not open that link. What is that? Redirect. This is redirecting to some, making a redirect call. So, the request is success, but it's having some firewall or proxy or some other bridge. 4XX. What is that? Client side. Client side. 5XX. Server side. Right. So basically, these three you want to understand. You'll be getting more of these. If there are any firewalls or proxies, then redirects will be there 3XX. But basically, 2XX, 4XX, 5XX. Right, Emma? I hope you are clear. Clear on this? Then request message. The request message, what we would have? Request line. Now what is it? Method, URI, call, response message. The first line will tell you what? Status line. Status line will give you which protocol, version, code. So this is what we have done from last 2.5 hours. The overall structure what we understood from last 2.5 hours is this is overall final conclusion. This is the overall final conclusion what you have seen from last 2.5 hours. Everyone is clear with this format? Everyone is clear? Clear? Right, boss? Now, does it have any authentication process? Does it have any authentication process? No, it doesn't have any authentication process. Now, it doesn't have any authentication process. Now, I want to make a request. with the authentication process. I'll give you an overview of it. You can try it out. Tomorrow I'm going to give the same example. Okay. So I want to give authentication. Now it is open for everyone. As of now, I didn't say I am Satish or I want to give my username, password, everything. Straight away I log in. But now I was authorized to log in and give it. Authorization. So what type of authorization generally we have? API key. They will give a key to you. They will ask you to, whenever you make a request, submit the key. If the key is matching, I will give a response. So what was this key called? Key based authentication. Second thing, they say, if you are say customized, custom web service, Java based or .NET based, they may ask you to create a username password. They might ask you to pass some keys. So they give some credentials to you, ask you to pass the credentials. So credentials is a custom. This is not standard one. It is defined by you as per your company requirement. This web service is not a standard format. This is defined by you as per your company requirement. This is not standardized. Second one is what? It is not standardized. You define as per your requirement. Probably you give one secret. You have given one secret code 456. If I enter this, I will log in. So what is that? As per your company requirement. Who designed that? Your company designed. It is not a standardized process. It is not a standardized process. When it is a standardized process, everybody will follow the same format. Everybody will follow the same format. It's not a standardized process. Custom web service. Then they allow their own format of authentication. Probably I will try with Amazon web service. I'm going to try with the custom credentials. Then I have OAuth. When I say OAuth, going with open authentication. Now if you are using open authentication, let any system use, they have standard rules for it. You cannot do as per your requirement. They have standard rules. You have to obey those standard rules. If you say authentication, I am following the process of authentication, open authentication. Then they ask, what type of authentication? Are you following username, password? Are you following code format? Are you following client credentials? Are you following refresh token? What type of authentication you are following? The fourth one is certificate based. So as of now, both the examples what I have done is only open authentication. Like it's open for everyone. No authentication, no security, open. But now we need to understand secured data access. For this, what you are doing was API key. They may give the key to you, ask you to reproduce the key, or custom web service. They may have some methods. They may ask you to call a method, or they may ask you to pass some credentials. They may ask you to pass some data of what you exchange. Is it data? What is they exchanged with you? They ask you to share it. Third one is what? Authentication. If you say authentication, it's a standard procedure. It is a standard procedure that everybody has to go with it. Now you cannot use your own procedure for it. So if you want to design your own procedure, custom web service. Custom authentication. Instead of web service, I can say custom authentication. You are going for custom authentication. Right. Then we are going with OAuth. When you say OAuth, username, password, code format, client credentials, reference token. Then last one is certificate based. So we'll understand these procedures. So the first example, I'll just give a basic information. You can try out this example. I'm going to explain it. Now what was it? Whenever new opportunity is created, one OTP code should be sent to mobile. When OTP is entered in the record, same OTP should be entered by the agent to change the status. Okay, I'll make it a bit easier. I'll make it a bit easier. Whenever a phone number of a customer, whenever account phone number is modified, OTP should be sent to email and registered mobile number. When you re-enter the OTP, then only phone number will be modified. If you want to modify, SMS should be sent. Basically, what I'm trying to say is, from Salesforce, you want to send SMS to customer. Do you have any SMS functionality in Salesforce? Do you have any predefined SMS functionality? You cannot send SMS, you can only go with the email. But as per my requirement, I want to send SMS. When I send SMS, if the SMS is approved, I'm going to send an OTP to you. If you re-enter that OTP, then only I'm going to change your mobile number. Only that OTP is entered, then mobile number will be modified. Right. So this is my requirement. How will you achieve this? Now we need to find out who is the SMS provider. Find out some third party SMS provider, register with the third party, see whether it's a free or cost commercial. If it is commercial, how much they are charging, then send SMS. Right. The same code. Whenever a new product is created in the same code, SMS should go to all the customer. Boss, we have a discount also for festival offer. Promotion, campaign, marketing cloud. In the marketing cloud, whenever a new campaign or new promotional code is created, automatically send a message to all the existing customers. Boss, so the discount is given on so the product, or use the following code for the verification. I want to send SMS to. So how to go for that? We need to go with that API based. 90% of the mobile applications are API. 90% of SMS, bulk SMS system is going to be API based. So we need to register with the API system, get the code. Okay. Then next one more example to get right. We have multiple currencies, right? So what is the problem with the multiple currencies? What is the problem with that? They will not give you live data. They will give you one table, ask you to enter the data. Whatever the data you entered, the same data will be used for the complete financial year. Once I give a table, as per the data in the table, Salesforce will come out. I cannot change the data in the table whenever I want. You cannot change. Why? Because let us say today I created a table, multi-currency table. I told $1, 60 rupees. Right. Then what happened? Today I received $200. When I received $200, my revenue is, let's say, 12,000. After 1 week, if you change this $60 to $70, what it will show me? It will show me my revenue as 400. But what is the price you paid for me? What is the money you paid? It is only 400. So I will not be able to change my currency. Once I go to multiple currency, once I enter the values in the multiple currency, I cannot change it. If I change it, my forecast, my opportunity, my revenue, everything is going to be okay. Everything will be disturbed. That is the reason once I enter for the complete financial year, I will not change it. For minimum one financial year, I will not be able to change it. So, because we are not tracking the live data. So what I want to do? I want to make a call to third party system, find out the live data, what all they put how many rupees, convert the data and save it in rupees. So when a new opportunity is created, make a call to third party system, find out $1 you put how many rupees, get the data in the rupees and save it. At this moment, what is the dollar rate? Get me the dollar rate and save the opportunity in terms of rupees. Then what do you require? Live currency values. $1 equal how many rupees? $1 equal how many pounds? Live data you want. If you want the live data, you have to make a web service call to third party. If you want to make a web service call to third party, then you require web services. To that web service, 90% of these web services are also on API currency format. Generally currency format. Current currency formats will be API based keys. So like mobile applications, the currency formats, okay, weather formats, okay, forecast of weathers, forecast of news, okay, they will be generally in the form of what? API key based. will be generally in the form of API key. So tomorrow we'll see some examples how to make use of API key and make a web service call to third party, get the data in the Salesforce. Probably I will do that with BatchFX, ScheduleFX, or I'll go with BatchFX and triggers. Okay. But the problem here is you are supposed to practice all your web service with any one of the existing